Toy World. As you can see, I'm live in my baby's room, but he ain't here yet. One more week to go. But you know what? Let's just jump into it. Ashley, what's up? What's up with you this week, man?
Oh, nothing much. I'm having a great week. I'm super excited because tomorrow starts Joe Fest, and
Go Fest.
super
Ray, what
excited.
about you?
I just found out that there was a sequel series to the Brady Bunch called The Brady's.
What? Please
And it
tell
only
me a rundown
lasted.
of this.
It only lasted for 1 month, and then it was canceled.
Wow.
1 month? You know, that's really weird. I've always heard of all the Brady stuff that they did, and it always flopped. I mean, I remember I was just of the generation where it was the Brady Bunch movies. You know, they had the two parody movies, and they were hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But I watched the originals in rerun, but it was nothing. It was nothing that really grabbed me like TGIF style stuff did.
You know
but
what?
it was.
But you know what I think the magic was, or what was lost was. Did you watch the show after you watched the movie?
No, I watched it a little bit growing up, so I was already aware of it, and so I understood the parody of it.
See,
it was just like that.
I always knew about the Brady Bunch secondhand, but so I knew the movie, so it was always not much. Like, it's always underwhelming if I ever saw an episode of the show after that, was because it's just that taken seriously. It's not as funny.
Yeah, I kind of placed it up there with
like
Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah,
yeah, it was like a generation before me, or a couple of generations.
Oh no,
before me, so I couldn't connect to it like other people. But yeah, the movies were hilarious, and they were also sort of a commentary on the times of the '90s, you know. So it was, you know, and a parody of that. So it was, I don't know, I thought that was real funny. But yeah, other than that, man,
look it up. It looks bad. I've seen the intro for it. That's it. It looks bad.
Dude, speaking of weird sequel shows, does anybody remember the Cosby Show that came out after? It was like there was the Cosby Show, and then there was Cosby.
Yeah,
and he still had the same wife, but it was a different character. I always thought that was so stupid.
I vaguely remember something.
I remember it because of what's his name, the kind of Urkel type character, the one that's, you know, he's not part of the family, but he's always hanging out with them. I forgot his name.
Yep, probably had a catchphrase and everything.
God, I forgot who he was played by. I know the actor. I've seen his face a ton of times in movies, but he's like one of those big. He is one of those big '90s faces, like that. You know, you could pick him out of a lot of movies, but can't always remember the name.
But I was going to say about the Brady Bunch. You know, I feel like anytime I ever get a taste of what the Brady Bunch used to be is when I would go to, you know, antique stores or just go to these, you know, the retro toy stores, and you would see old dolls and such of Brady Bunch, and just like, I mean, just all kinds of memorabilia. And then you come to realize Brady Bunch was one of those early, like heavily merchandised properties.
Really?
You know,
I've never seen any stuff, but I mean, that's just me. And we
travel. Well, I'm like, wow, it's like, that's an example of it. But then you can see other franchises where you're like, wow, you know, that there really was, in their day, they were the, you know, fill in the blank, the Walking Dead of its time, or the, you know, the Big Bang Theory of its time. I mean, it was huge. It was super huge.
But even if you go back to even the debut of Superman in like what 38, 1938.
Yeah, 38.
You go back and look at some of those documentaries, and there was so much memorabilia to be had, because I mean, kids are wearing Superman t-shirts. I mean, Superman was, he wasn't quite on the radio yet, but just go back and look at some of that black and white footage. Superman was everywhere. Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yeah, I was going to say the big float during the parade. I remember them talking about that, and then. Yeah, and then when they started having the first dolls, that was probably some of the first superhero toys that,
it was like that
people had, were those
yep.
there was like these wooden Superman dolls with cloth capes, and I'm just like, wow, we've come a long way. We've come a very, very long way. Yeah, and speaking of, I've gotten through the Batman animated series, and I'm watching Superman right now. And I've just been, I don't know, I've been killing it. The animated series is so great. And also I want to go back and watch the Max Fleischer, however you say his last name. those old classic cartoons that the Batman and Superman series were kind of based on in terms of look. Because I remember those cartoons, I watched them when I was a kid.
They look
Loved
good.
them. Really, really good. They
Mhm.
surprised me, even when I was an adult and went back to them. I was just surprised. I didn't realize how well made those cartoons were. They were groundbreaking for their time. I mean,
Yeah.
you could tell they put a lot of love and time into those. I mean, they look beautiful. They hold up. They flow. It's not real like a jumpy mess. I mean, they were beautifully well drawn cartoons.
Put a lot of
And-
money into it too.
Yeah, I was going to say
For
they
that
probably did put a
time,
lot of money.
for the time, yeah, it was like really a lot of money.
It's kind of like with Batman. I mean, they seem to. I mean, I'm sure they put a lot of money. I mean, they didn't spend a lot on actors and stuff per se, but just in terms of the overall production, they put a lot. And that was a big gamble for Batman because that was such an adult show. I mean, just to put out there for kids, they really played with adult themes, and that could have went south.
At first, I thought you were talking about Batman '66, since we were in that era. And I
Oh
was
no,
like,
I'm just thinking of
adult show? What are you talking
Oh
about?
no. Well, no, Superman, like the old Superman. Well, even that though was kind of like crazy, but they were violence was whatever back in those
Yeah.
days. People was blowing up and but no, I mean just they were shooting. I mean, they were like think of the Looney Tunes. It was like if you can't get out of a sketch one way, how do you end it? You explode, you blow up. So like people were dying left and right on screen.
It's like
Now it's weird. Like in the 80s, there was like a huge movement of where the cartoons were really regulated, and that you couldn't do anything in cartoons. And then by the time you get around to Batman, they were just like, you know what? No, we're gonna do that.
they got to commit to the
and-
bit.
Yeah, I don't know how they got it passed, but wow, I mean they did a good job. And then Superman is just so well put together in terms of the story and how they approach the subject material. It just doesn't feel like a childish show. It feels like something that's a true adaptation of its source material. It's beautiful.
Man, those
So
first
well
2 or
done.
3 episodes of that season 1 is just awesome. Like
Yeah.
watching him.
I was going
grow
to say,
up,
really, to me, the episode really, the only one I skip so far as I've gone back through it is the oh gosh, Lobo. Is that his name?
Oh, you didn't like
The
that one?
biker.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of him overall. It's kind of silly. It's more of a sillier character. And so I kind of skipped over that. But I mean, Livewire, that was a pretty cool character. Lori Petty, she's neat. And then you've got
Oh, did we kick ass?
Parasite. You know what? He's done.
just tired of him?
I'm tired of him. But no, Parasite. Was Parasite an actual character from the Superman
Yeah.
comics? Because
Yeah.
I don't really remember him, but man, he creeps me out in the cartoons because it's just thinking
Yeah.
about what he can do. I'm like, it's like, get away.
Oh, I know.
But
yeah. So, well, speaking of superheroes,
speak on it. Tell us
Oh,
about
yes.
superheroes.
I heard that there's a trailer for
Oh,
the Penguin movie or the Penguin TV show, and I still have not watched it. Have either of you?
yes.
I haven't seen it. I've only saw the first teaser they released
All right.
a while back.
Pitch us the teaser, Ashley, as if we need to watch it.
I don't know that. I mean, is so. My feelings about the Batman are like this, right?
Yeah, lukewarm.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I am with
sometimes
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this might be a little better than I thought, and then I watch it again. And it's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
So this Penguin trailer that was just released just kind of gives us a look at some of the storylines, like him trying to, talking to people in prison, telling him, "Hey, I'm about to take over for Carmine." Was it Carmine Falcone that died?
Yeah,
I'm about to
Turturro.
take over. And
Yeah.
then Sophia Falcone is kind of, you see her and she's kind of taking up the mantle of being the head of her, what do you call it, family or whatever.
Mm.
So it looks like they're going to butt heads. And bringing her in, it's kind of hard to say, how do you not have Batman in this?
Or just how do you make this stand out from being just I don't know, like
A crime movie.
Yeah, just a crime story that has
a show.
that just has some names slapped on it.
Yeah.
And
the
see, my
like
thing
the
is
Joker
in
effect,
ways
just
that could be
write
great.
something- Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say in certain ways that could work. Like for example, The Dark Knight basically is just a remake of Heat. It takes a lot of cues from Heat, but you still have a lot of comic book elements, and you have a Batman story. Yeah, with the Penguin, it just kind of feels like a mafia, some sort of crime story, and I would have never known if you didn't have the Penguin on the title, I would have never known it had anything to do with the Penguin or anything in the Batman universe.
That's exactly.
Yeah, it's just like, that's an interesting crime show. They're gonna have Colin Farrell in a fat suit and being a bad guy.
It's one of those things, I guess, where with this particular Batman universe, it's not very aesthetically pleasing, I guess. In my opinion, there's not an established look or aesthetic in this Batman universe. It really all just kind of looks real world.
It's just kind of it's like grungy or gothic look of
right.
Yeah, of Nolan stuff. It does feel like it's just building on that. Just trying to say, like, it feels a lot like Reeves said, Nolan had a great foundation. Now I'm just gonna add do the extra mile of adding that gothicness to it that Tim Burton had, I guess.
And that's the only thing is with this, it just doesn't. Even with the movie, it just didn't feel like it had a particular style, I guess. So it was kind of hard, other than just like the dark grunginess of it. It didn't have a style, established look like the Tim Burton versus the Joel Schumacher versus the Nolan. So it just it's going to be hard for me on this one. I just don't know if I know I'll eventually watch the show, and especially if it comes out and you say it's good, I'm going to watch it. But I don't know. I'm just.
I mean, as a DC fan, I'm going to watch it when it comes out. Right. Yeah. I watch every week as it comes out on HBO Max. But
when does Creature Commandos come out?
December. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's an actual date in December.
I think it's December. I think. Oh no! I just think it's. I think I heard it's just December. I don't have an exact date. I don't.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's what I thought. What Gunn said the other day was just December. Yeah. But I'm more interested in seeing what Gunn's going to do with Batman in that DCU universe, because I hope it's like a Batman we haven't seen before, like a Batman with the clay face, with real powers, and a Batman with
Yeah. I mean, quick side note on that. Yeah, I think this has an opportunity to be a completely new type of Batman that hasn't been in live action, which is a Batman with a family he's built. Like it seems like there's going to be, the first movie is going to be Brave and the Bold, and it's going to feature. Gunn's already said it's going to feature Damian Wayne as Robin.
Yeah.
So, I have a feeling that he's going to try to want to stick to the lore, because the potential that's there, at least with Batman and his relationship with his different former sidekicks.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like he's be older. Is he going to be like an older Bruce?
He mentioned recently. He actually mentioned recently, because people had been asking, because it's going to be a Bruce that's a dad, and also I think James had said he's not too concerned about making sure that the casting age is matched up for whoever's cast. He's not too concerned if they don't seem, if their ages aren't very close, Batman and Superman. But I think he did say, he's not. I don't think he's planning to make him too young. I think it's going to be cast by somebody who's like late 30s, maybe 40.
Oh, because later on in that conversation, he said they're about a couple of years apart.
Yeah, a couple of years. Yeah. But I assume that's just being vague and stuff. But trying to not say it's not as big of a gap as, say, like the the estimated gap between Cavill's Superman and Affleck's Batman, because Affleck probably had a good 10 years age on Clark.
That was one of the biggest problems I had with that whole universe. Was just a
Batman in his later years and a Superman in his early years.
You're starting off a universe with an old Batman.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, it just doesn't work. It wasn't smart.
Well, yeah, I get that. But I will say this was a Batman that was at least in a step in the right direction of like what I wanted to see. Was something that feels comic booky. Like I did love some of the fighting elements. Like I still think like Warehouse was a much more enjoyable sequence than some of the action sequences I saw in the Batman. Actually.
That Warehouse thing was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I wish that they would have done more with Affleck's Batman. Like I would have liked to have seen him gotten his own movie and do, like a really gothic, like crime noir, comic booky style Batman movie with Ben Affleck. I would have loved to have seen what Zack Snyder could have done with that.
Yeah.
Well, the problem to me, again, I know we've talked about this before. It seems like everything was so short-sighted with the whole DCU. Even though Zack Snyder has this big vision for what it was like, okay, we're going to do this movie. We're going to do about 5 movies and call it a day.
I think Snyder's thing was he had a very limited idea in mind, just a story from beginning to end, and that was conflicting with what WB was wanting, which was this is what Snyder was wanting to do. He wanted to do this and close it off. In DC, Warner Brothers, they were wanting him to start out and then just keep building out and out. And those two things collided, and that's why it became such a mess by the end.
Yeah.
I mean, even behind the scenes, the mess stuff where they were overreacting to over course correcting on every single project where, poor Cavill, like even Gunn admitted it, like as part of like him explaining why he didn't bring him back. He even straight up said, what he got screwed over for years, by DC. I think he said it directly in that it's like DC and Warner Brothers, they screwed him over. And so, it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it.
Well, but I'm hoping James Gunn gets the opportunity to keep doing this.
It seems like that's going to be his plan. Seems like he's wanting to kind of do the thing. It seems like he's doing the Kevin Feige thing, where he's going to really open it up and create this wide universe for people to play in.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's the right guy to do it. He's just, I don't know. James Gunn is an all around good dude in the movies. So hopefully it doesn't change him. Hopefully, it only makes it better. But going from DC, let's go to Marvel real quick. So I've been hearing a lot of hype about, Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and Wolverine, or whatever. Have y'all been hearing some of the casting rumors?
I try to. I'm doing like this.
Yeah.
So you want me to? So do you want me to say hush hush because there was one casting? I don't think it's real.
I'll take my ears out. You go ahead, and then wave.
Okay. So Ray,
it's time to get back.
Okay. I'll be the sacrificial lamb.
Well, see, I don't know if it's true, but Google is even now showing it as part of the cast. But it looks like Ray Park may be coming back to play Toad. It looks like Toad, maybe some others. So I saw him too, but it didn't look like Ray Park. It looked like a double. It looked like somebody just playing a body double for the part from the first movie.
And so Ashley can't hear us, right? So I'm just gonna say that I was gonna mess with you. Never mind. I was gonna start doing weird stuff with the camera, so he's just gonna start asking, like he's gonna say, like,
I want to go into it so I can be super surprised at everything.
It's like, Ray, why are you trying to lick the screen?
But no, I mean I'm getting pretty hyped for this movie. I mean, I also, I know we haven't even talked about hauls. I haven't even shown my hauls off yet, but I got the figures that came out, the reissues of Deadpool and Wolverine. I think I showed Wolverine last week or the week before.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't have them with me. I don't have them.
I think they're kind of new versions. I got mine.
Yeah, I think. Show them. Yeah, I know Wolverine is sort of a new version of what they've. I mean, it's still a reissue. It's still like they've used that sculpt before, but I think it's just a perfected paint job and everything. And I think it's a mixture of a couple of different figures or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a great figure. But I got Deadpool, and oh my God, man, it's almost like buying. He made me think of Commando. Remember the movie from the 80s?
Oh yeah.
If you bought the Commando doll, there was a million accessories with it.
Oh yeah,
that's what I felt like with Deadpool. Yeah, I was like all these hands, but then I had the swords, the guns, the unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn.
I'm surprised the chimichanga didn't come with him, but yeah, no, I'm getting super hyped for the movie though. I guess I'd come across an old video clip of T.J. Miller talking about how he won't work with Ryan Reynolds again, but isn't he going to be in this movie?
No,
didn't he? So. Oh, so T.J. Miller's not in this?
He's kind of blacklisted.
Right. Can I say that I don't hope this isn't spoilery, but his name did show up in the cast list for this new movie.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, everything
yeah.
I've heard said he's not going to be in it.
That's what I thought, and he even said he didn't think that he would ever work with Ryan. Like he didn't think that Ryan would ever work with him again because of whatever little tiff they got into or something.
Well, I remember he had said online that he'd said in that interview that oh God, what did he say?
Well, they were ad-libbing a scene, and he got real mad at him.
He was trying to he made it kind of sound like he thought I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it was an exaggerated version of whatever the story was, but he was trying to make it sound like he was so much more funnier than Ryan, and Ryan couldn't keep up with him. And he said
so Ryan started ad-libbing very mean things to his character, like basically saying very hateful, mean things, but in the guise of Deadpool or something like that. And I'm like,
I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, maybe that was all water under the bridge. Maybe he'll come back for a little cameo. But I mean, it seems like I bet a lot of the main people from the previous movies aren't really. It looks like they may not matter that much. I don't know, but this movie either way looks like it's going to be wild because I know when I'm watching the preview, I know one clip I see real quick of them on the beach fighting, and you can see off in the distance there's like the 20th Century Fox logo.
Oh yeah, logo. Yeah,
that big old logo, just like it's just ruins off in the distance. I thought that was hilarious. And there was another Easter egg I saw. Oh, and then there was obviously where the big old Ant-Man head, it opens up, the mask opens up, and he's like, wow, Paul Rudd's finally showing some age or something like that. I can't wait to see this movie. I remember how much I laughed at the second one in theaters. I didn't know I was going to laugh that hard at the second one. Mm-hmm. It absolutely floored me compared to the first. The first movie was great, but that second one, oh my God, I couldn't breathe in theaters. It was hilarious.
I think the one thing I'm hoping for, because it slightly concerns me, even though I'm excited about it, is I hope they don't squander using Cassandra Nova as a villain.
Oh well, I just don't know her character that well, but I hear she
like Grant Morrison created her back with his back when he did the new X-Men series, and I really liked. What did you think of her, Ashley?
Well, so that is one of my favorite X-Men runs, to be honest.
He did have a good run.
New X-Men stuff, man. That was awesome.
A lot of game-changing stuff.
Yeah, but the whole Cassandra Nova thing was I think it was a little bit of a letdown for me as far as her being the big bad. You know what I'm saying? Not in Deadpool 3. I don't know how she's going to be in there, but in that new X-Men run, that's what keeps it from being like the top X-Men.
So you thought she was a weak point of it?
Yeah.
The run.
Yeah. I just didn't like the whole aspect of it kind of soap opera kind of thing. Xavier,
I did. It did feel a little bit. It did feel like a bit like Morrison had trouble like figuring out ways to do different stories, but he kept wanting to use her, so he kept coming up with arbitrary ways to keep extending her use in the story. Like she's been shot in the head 30 times, so she's definitely dead. No, now she's put her consciousness inside of Xavier, so now Xavier's gone evil because she's taken over his mind. It's like he just kept trying to look for new ways to keep using her.
Yeah, I still don't think she's like the big bad in this. Maybe they're throwing us off here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wolverine's the big bad.
It could be.
It's himself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one other thing. I guess that might be. Oh, did you want to do Halls first, or do you want to just jump into?
Yeah, let's take a break and let's show Halls because I don't have anything. Unfortunately, I don't.
I can show it.
I've already got it.
Okay. I can show because since I've got it. So let me show you the first part of it. So here is our little. Let me see. Oh, let's move this over a little bit so I can. The lighting a little less harsh, but there's a little unicorn that comes with Deadpool. All right, and I've got these kind of pre-posed in a fun way, so I'm not really going to undo it, but this is how I've kind of got Wolverine and Logan set up.
Cool.
But yeah, great. Like sculpts on these are really great. It's probably one of my favorite, of the Hugh Jackman face sculpts I've seen for Hasbro figures. This is probably looks the best to me that I've seen. In my personal opinion.
I almost wish I could get or I hope they release the first two X-Men movie versions of Wolverine, at least the suit, so he'll the black leather suits with the stripes or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to have that so you could switch the heads and things like that with it. Just alternate the heads.
I would
That'd be
dig
pretty
if they
cool.
had the version from. I actually would love it if they would make the new movie costume he's got
Yeah. Of course.
into Marvel Legends.
That's probably already done. They're probably just waiting for the movie to drop before they do it. But I bet you he's probably going to have a Marvel Legends figure, because if
Oh
not,
yeah,
I can see fans demanding it, because I mean,
They've
everybody's
been
been waiting
demanding to see him
forever.
in that outfit for ever since the movie,
30
first
years.
movie.
And that Hot Toys figure
Not just
looks
him, but
awesome.
Yeah, that did look good.
Woo,
Yeah,
that
there's a
looks
hot.
awesome.
Did you see that, Austin?
yeah, no, I
Okay.
did. No, every time I see Hot Toys, I'm like, God, I wish I could afford Hot
Me too.
Toys.
Me too.
Well,
so that's all your haul, eh?
yeah.
What about you, Ashley? Any hauls?
I bought a whole pile of Superpowers figures to kind of get me caught up with what's been going on.
I see a beautiful Batwing back there.
Yeah, Sinestro, Manga Batman, Gold Superman, Brainiac, Blue Beetle, Vigilante, Peacemaker, Judo Master, Black Toy Biz looking Batman, regular Sinestro, and a Superman. So I bought those the other day because I could. I finally, this is not new, but I finally built this. This is Flame Toys model kit. And, it comes with like 8 or 9 sprues with just different pieces and parts on it. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen, ever watched a YouTube video where they build like Gundams and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks just like that. So when it's in the package, and then it turns into Snake Eyes, a 6-inch Snake Eyes. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Then I bought one of these, this Starscream here. This is an action figure, not an actual transformer. So it doesn't transform. It's an actual figure. But I bought this off eBay from the guy who has the world record for Transformers collectibles. And
wow.
he has like over 10,500 Transformers in his collection. And he sent like this certificate of authenticity with it. So this Starscream was number 7,692 in his collection. So kind of cool. And now that he's got the Guinness Book of World Records or the record, he is basically selling off stuff he doesn't want out of the collection now. And I was listening to a podcast about just the hoops you have to jump through. It's like, once they accept you into the running, I mean, it's like a year-long process, because you have to build this massive spreadsheet and list every single item, take pictures of every single item, and then they can come back and say, no, we're not allowing that, or yes, we're allowing that. I mean, it's crazy amount of work.
I think because of all the money involved, they don't want to have a fraud situation come up.
Yeah. And he even admitted, even with 10,500, he knows people with more than him. Ooh. It's just, do you want
if you got more than that, do you want to put in the effort to
it's like, do you want to go through this whole thing?
Yeah.
Joe Fan says his haul was he got a Gundam last week.
Ooh.
It's Quan Gundam. I like building stuff, man. I don't know why. This thing is supposed to not require glue, but there are little pieces, like where you put like the forearm together, that's not snapping together real good. So I'm gonna have to. I don't know if you can see it right here, but there is a gap through here.
Is that thing made of metal or plastic?
It's plastic. It's all plastic. Okay. There you go. I'm getting closer. Do you see the gap right there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can see right there the gap. I mean, it's just not sticking together. So I'm gonna have to get some glue and glue that stuff together.
And yes, that's the model kit, correct?
Yeah, that's a model kit. Yeah, I think they did a Storm Shadow like that, and then they did 2 motorcycles, a black and a white motorcycle.
Got it. Now, here's the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say we did have some toy news. Let's take a look over at the beautiful.
Yeah, before we jump into let's talk toys before we jump into some Acolyte discussion, because I know we kind of want to probably talk about that.
All right. I'm kind of excited about this. We got Super 7 TMNT Ultimates Wave 12. That's pretty cool. But this looks like this must be it's the what is that, like the 2003 Turtles?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're not going to be doing the other Turtles anymore.
Oh.
I heard somewhere that now they're moving into this era, which they look good.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that, I don't remember there being a whole lot of merchandising for that era.
Me either. I remember the toys when they came out, and then they were gone.
One or two video games.
Yeah,
I played one of the video games, and it kind of like covered the first season on the show. It was really fun.
What was after this?
There was something else, and then there was the 2012 series.
What about the Nickelodeon series that had the Nickelodeon series? Oh man, Jason Biggs was in it, and Sean.
That's what I'm saying. That's the 2012 series.
That's the 2012.
Yeah, that was the one,
like 2008ish, maybe 2000.
That's what I was thinking. There was a show, I believe, in between these two.
Yeah.
And like I said, this one was probably bigger than the one after that, I feel.
No.
The
one after that was bigger, because I remember.
No. I was saying that the one in between. Then when the 2012 hit, 2012 it became the new standard, and it was like then this one became forgotten.
I don't know. I remember the Next Mutation being pretty untouchable because they crossed over with the Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, and they had a female turtle.
I don't think I remember much merchandise for that series. I didn't get into it, but I don't think I remember much for that either, though.
Yeah, I don't.
I think the drastic changes to the outfits like turned me away from it. Like I just for me the gold standard was like the Jim Henson 1990, 1989 movie.
Yeah.
That for me was the top tier, and any of the live action version never quite ever matched up to it.
Yeah, speaking of Super 7, they're at Joe Fest tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'll try to talk to him for you guys if that's what you want.
And speaking of
I know this was a big. I was going to say this was a big release for at least one of y'all. I know y'all wanted somebody wanted.
Well, yeah, I've been wanting a Connor Kent. Like that for me, that's one of my favorite eras for Connor Kent, because that's kind of where I read some Superboy and got into the character. And I think it was a Jeff Johns storyline he did called the Boy of Tomorrow. I think it was like not long after he'd been resurrected, and it was kind of like Connor trying to figure himself out, like after he's come back from the dead. And I really love that run. So for me, like I love this design for Superboy, the black t-shirt.
This looks like a great figure.
But I can see why some people are peeved with it, because it is literally a reuse of Todd McFarlane's action figure of himself.
Yeah, it is.
It's just it's just a different head and just repaint area of the chest.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. So this is a reuse of a Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but it doesn't bother me too much. But it's like that makes sense. That tracks with Todd.
Yeah, so that's the platinum version of Sergeant Rock.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I pre-ordered out of this whole wave was the Sergeant Rock, because that just looks awesome. And I've been wanting a Sergeant Rock figure for quite some time, and there's only like a handful, other than 12-inch dolls or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the Target Summer Geek Out got me. I had it broke me down, and I had to do it. Yep, pre-ordered the Batmobile, and don't know where I'm going to put it. Well, but I was surprised with how cheap it was. I was expecting it to go over $100, because the original, when DC Direct was putting this out, it was over $100.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell yourself that you're going to put a shelf up, and then that you'll be fine.
Well, I do know that I'm probably going to display it this way, where I'll have both figures, at least these figures, I'll put in the car, and if I can get another Batman somewhere, or I'll probably have like a Batman statue or something to put out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, God, this looks so good.
And light up features too. Awesome.
Yeah, if it's exactly like the original, it'll have like an axle. The wheels will turn, rubber tires. I mean, it's and it's huge. It's like over 2 feet long. It's like 25 inches total, I think, or something like that.
Now, I did order something out of this wave of Target geek out stuff. I got the if you scroll up, I got Metallo and Fire. You have to scroll up some more. I didn't care for that, but yeah, the Fire up there, the green chick.
Oh yeah.
So Justice League International is my thing, and I had to get that. I had to get Fire.
I'm surprised in a wave that had Fire in it, they didn't also have
Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a action figure of her.
Yeah, DC Direct did. Actually, DC Direct did one, and Mattel did one for the DC Universe class. Well, DC Signature series.
Okay. I could actually see Gunn making use of those two characters.
Oh yeah.
Fire and Ice. He could have. Yeah, I could see him putting someone on that.
Most definitely.
Metallo. You know what? I saw a lot of people get angry about this design they went with for Metallo.
I'm not. I mean, I think it looks good. I'm not a big fan of the old. What was it? The Superman.
Where he's basically a giant robot.
Yeah. I like that look much better.
Yeah.
And then I didn't care anything about Joker and what's her face.
Punchline.
Punchline, yeah. And neither one of these either.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's Jim Gordon Batman, and then.
Yeah, I think so.
And oh God, who created that? That's a Scott Snyder character, isn't it? Or yeah.
I think he came out. Yeah, I think he came out.
The flower person. I forgot the character's name.
Now this would be cool to have. I wouldn't mind having the Super 7 Ultimate Toxie. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is. That does. I mean, that's the first one we've gotten that's actually movie accurate. The other are based on the Playmates,
right?
Cartoon.
Yeah. I would love this movie version here. That is so cool. Actually, and speaking of, I can't wait. I wonder when they're going to show a trailer or something for the new movie coming
Peter
up.
Dinklage one.
Yeah,
there's a teaser.
Great stuff.
There's a teaser that came out almost like a year ago.
And and then after that, it just radio silence. Like they just were like, all right, well.
I think the problem is, I think they're probably just having trouble getting a distributor because it did good. I think it did decently at the film festival it premiered at, but I think they just haven't secured anybody to do a wide release for it. They should just go ahead, just put it on streaming.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't imagine a movie like that unless it gets really good word of mouth online. Movie theaters, they're not bringing in as much as they used to.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind this. The Cave Troll here from Diamond Select.
Troll.
I would love this because Diamond Select, I love their statues, and this just looks really good. The action figure line for Lord of the Rings has been really good. And I also keep forgetting that they're doing, which this is just looks like a bust, but I forget that Diamond Select does or we're doing Marvel toys.
Yeah, they still do Marvel Select figures. And I'll tell you, early 2000 when they started doing Marvel Selects in maybe mid 2000s, they were more statuesque, like a Punisher figure with his arms would move and his head would move, but his legs were kind of statuesque, and you can't move them. Or even a Spider-Man figure was semi-posed. But I don't know, starting like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that they are really competing with Marvel Legends. It's a 7-inch scale figure instead of the 6-inch.
Right,
But
exactly.
But same articulation and in most cases a better sculpt to me. So I mean, if you take a look at that Captain America they just released, woo, that's the best looking Captain America figure I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, they've always seemed to be tit for tat with like Diamond Select. For example, I've got the Star Trek Into Darkness Kirk and Spock Diamond Select figures, and they look great. They're so good.
Really?
And they also did the old Ghostbusters figures for a while. Now this is what I want. I want some Street Sharks.
Street Shark.
Look at that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's bad looking stuff. I don't. I remember seeing Street Shark commercials, but I don't think I've ever seen a Street Sharks toy in stores when I was.
Really?
Yeah,
I did. I got the. I know I got the one with the rollerblade one, and I think I got the Hammerhead.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
if you remember, I mean, it was the cheesiest show ever. But I watched that. I had the first the big premiere thing, which I think was like the first 2 episodes put together as like I had that on VHS.
So that was what, early 90s?
Early to mid. It was one of those post Ninja Turtles.
Okay, so
on that.
At that time I was probably 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, I was going to say it was around the 94. It was like 94, 95.
And not that I'd stopped collecting toys, but I was more into Marvel Toy Biz and Kenner Batman stuff.
I thought this was funny that they announced this as an exclusive.
Just think how much it's going to cost you if you can't go to San Diego Comic-Con. You're going to have to pay a buttload if that's something you really want.
I was going to say, whoever really wants that, they'll probably pay a buttload. Not me though. I got the ones I need.
Yeah.
But other than that, were there any other big toy releases that y'all wanted to
scroll back up a little bit? Those NECA. Let's see. Keep going. Right there, the Ben Cooper stuff. Those look good. Those look absolutely cool.
Yeah, I mean, announcement on these. These are really cool.
Yeah, I mean, just those plastic masks and stuff. I remember. I don't exactly remember those particular costumes, but I remember having costumes like that for Halloween when I was like really little.
Oh yeah,
those are just awesome, man. And it's just generic figure with those costumes.
Yeah, totally a nostalgia figure. I mean,
that is so cool.
Yeah. No. Also, I was going to say the Batman Forever announcement. I'm so happy I was able to get all 4 of those pre-ordered. Yeah. And it shocked me that they're actually, because they weren't supposed to even come out till next year, and they're like, no, they're going to come out in August.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
So I'm super happy about that, and oh god, the more I look at the Robin figure, the more I can't wait for him to come in. Oh, it's going to be great.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I think now we need to talk about a special little show that's been going on for a couple of weeks now.
So
the Simpsons. Let's go.
So we're 4 episodes in now.
4 episodes.
Halfway through the season. Quick thoughts.
I will say my thoughts are I'm liking it so far. I'm gonna reserve judgment. I see all the hate online, all the. I get it. I somewhat get it. But I'm like, hold your horses. Let's wait and see how all this plays out. I'm not bashing anybody for Ki-Adi-Mundi appearing in the show.
Yeah.
So are we confirming that was Ki-Adi-Mundi and Plo Koon in the show?
Okay. No, that wasn't.
I don't know about Plo Koon, but Ki-Adi-Mundi's name is in the credits.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I didn't know if that was his or not. Like, and then so that could cause some potential continuity issues, but we'll explain it away.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, when it comes to Ki-Adi-Mundi, it wasn't a case of like there was something officially established in canon. It was. I think they were just having Legends as a placeholder idea until something else came along, but they never confirmed it.
I'm not saying the age. I'm not saying the age thing. That doesn't.
Oh,
bother
that's
me.
what I saw people getting mad about.
No.
Where they're saying,
I'm
that,
No,
saying
I'm talking
he's
about
saying-
his knowledge of the Sith
Yeah.
or some sort of a
that.
disturbance. But I still
Yeah.
think they could talk that away because it's not like he specifically knew that there was a Sith
well,
threat or anything like that.
well,
So
here's
it's
where
like-
my
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, here's my thoughts on that. I'm still not completely convinced it might be a Sith. Now, just it might have a red lightsaber, but I mean, just like we've seen that there are more than one type of witch. Like this, just established new lore of new types of covens. This could be a different type of threat that happens to use, lightsabers that have been corrupted.
I mean, didn't they say though somewhere along the way when they started filming that
It could be, but it could be one of those
synopsis.
early. But I would
Yeah.
say I would write it up, or I would at least say that if it doesn't end up being the case, like say that I'm right, and that causes people to say, well, they said it was going to be a Sith. I would say that it's probably like Marvel does, is they put a vague enough idea of what they wanted it to be, and that doesn't always account for what comes in later when the creatives are actually doing the plotting and everything. They say like, now we're going to do this instead, and we feel like this works better, and also it sticks, with what everybody else is trying to do. It doesn't conflict.
Yeah.
So I'd say it could just be that case, but I don't know. I just feel like when they introduced the witches, I started to think like, okay, so this is where they might be going with it. I think this whole thing might be something else, like instead of a Sith. So in that way, it actually would still fall in that Ki-Adi-Mundi, would still say that, unless he's actively covering up for something, and it just was never used because it wasn't a thing yet for George.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna give it to the last episode.
Yeah,
before I condemn or cheer or whatever. I do think when you start screwing with canon like that, and two, when you're implying that these two girls were possibly children of the Force, maybe like Anakin. You're taking away what's special about Anakin.
Here's where I'm going to push back on that, because I never liked the Chosen One stuff to begin with, because it was just him using a prophecy trope from fantasy books.
Yeah.
And that never existed in the original trilogy. It's just something he added to it because he wanted to. I would say, like, for me, I don't. It could. My wife and I, when we first realized that they may be implying that these are kids of the Force, we were thinking, that's interesting, but we weren't thinking like that woman Leslie Headland, she ruined my childhood.
Yeah,
that mean old lady.
Well, I'm just starting to, this is like just starting to compound a little bit to me. Like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and it's sort of breaking. It seems like Rian Johnson all over again. Deconstruction or doing something for the sake of doing it.
See, I would say the reason it doesn't bother me when it with the comparison of Rian Johnson, I can actually agree with you, but this feels more like what I would want from something Rian Johnson worked on, which was something that doesn't really have to any attachments. So it's something new that he can do what he wants with the characters. Whereas I didn't like it, what he did in, his creative choices in The Last Jedi was because I already kind of got invested in these characters, and he really did weird stuff with them.
Yeah.
So that's where I fall in. It's like, I see where you're at though with that, but I just have that's where my opinion on it changes in terms of the Rian comparison. But one thing we thought about was this could be another example of a piece of lore that was added in at the end of the episode 9, which was the dyad concept. I was thinking like this could be some kind of version of a dyad popping up again. And I saw someone bring up an idea that I could see Filoni planning this because he's been guiding her. So I want to think that I want to think that any questions people are having with Laura, I think that they'll get wrapped up pretty, hopefully satisfactorily, because he is helping her. I don't think she's because he helped her figure out the witch stuff. She mentioned it in an interview. she wanted to do something similar to like the idea of the Witches of Dathomir, but not exactly what they were. And then he kind of mentioned to her, it's like, well, there weren't just, the Dathomir wasn't the only place that witches existed. You didn't have to be. So
you could also retcon, because remember the witch in the Battle for Endor movie, they had retconned her before that she ended up becoming part of the Dathomiri witches. But in this universe, she could be part of that coven or could be part of another coven.
Yeah.
But they've already established, if you go by movie canon, that if that movie is part of the canon, then they have established before that there are different types of witches.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm with Ray on that. A lot of that stuff really doesn't bother me, and I'm with Ashley where I'm kind of withholding a lot of the heavy judgments until I've seen the whole piece, because there's a lot. The only critique I give it so far, and I hold very firm to it, is whoever thought of the makeup for Master Torben in the older phase. Was just
that was horrible.
They were having a bad day that day. They must have went in like they had like a coffee and they were like, that's good, and then just walked off. And I'm just like, what? Because I love his look as a Padawan. He looks perfect. I mean, obviously he's a baby face. He's a little baby, so he would look like a Padawan. But I'm like, who? No.
But it did kind of it did kind of make sense then, though, because you did see that he ended up being very young. Like he was like a Padawan to Indar's character in the flashback.
Yeah. So it's just so odd that they did that. I would have, I don't know. I just would have like give him some facial hair and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was just like
they didn't need the
no,
white.
we got to give him the hair and then this like it just. I love it though. It makes me giggle when I see it. But it's so minute compared to the rest of the series.
Speaking of that though, at the end of not this past week's episode, but the one before, when you do the flashback, flashback thing, when you see him again at the end on the ship, did you notice he had the scar? I mean, he had cuts on his face.
I did not catch that. It got so chaotic at the end. I've been meaning to go back and watch the last two episodes.
He had the cut over his eye and right through here. So I was like, okay, we still hadn't gotten the complete story.
The full story.
Oh I definitely need to know, because to me it's like there's a big something going on.
Because I think for the most part we only saw really from Osha's perspective.
Yeah.
So we didn't get the complete story of what happened after. Apparently, May's crazy. At least as she was as a kid, because the thought of her sister leaving her, she's like, set her on fire.
Well, I still don't. I don't even think May has. If they do a flashback again, I don't even think it'll be May, because the main Jedi, what's his name? Soul.
Yeah,
acts like he thought she was really dead.
Yeah,
So I think something happened.
Well, maybe there was that moment
the room on fire, and then the Jedi come in and wipe out all those witches for whatever reason. I'm trying to understand why. Like why did the Jedi come in and do that? I mean, that's what it looks like from.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those tragic. I feel it's going to be a tragic case of misunderstandings. That's what I think it's going to wind up being. But it looks like it was setting up the powder keg to blow with what were the two mothers' names? Not Jodie Turner's character. The alien, the alien mother.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
She was much more military. She was much more militant to tolerating the Jedi, whereas the other mother was more reserved and peace.
Yeah.
So I feel like what's going to happen, something happened there where I think it's one of those. Maybe she gets too aggressive and someone ends up getting killed on accident, and then everything just goes to crap from that.
Or do you think it's something like they think when the Jedi come in, or they've been kind of watching, and if something like that does, I mean, just the slightest, show of resistance makes the Jedi kill everybody just because they think, okay, this is the Sith that we haven't seen in X number of years. We need to go ahead and take it out, and then kind of realize maybe they shouldn't have done what they'd done, and so they don't tell. The council when they come back, because they realize they were probably in the wrong, and then it's all coming back to I don't know. I'm just trying to without answers. You just try to play it out in your mind.
I've thought about like what went wrong, and another thing I thought of too was I feel like we're still gonna get a little more of Carrie Ann Moss's character in Dara in flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're not getting the full picture of her yet either.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like maybe there's something that happens in terms of her character. And maybe that's why she was the first one that was chosen for, by May to go after.
Yeah.
And there also might be a reason why her Padawan was so, distraught over whatever happened that he put himself into that brash. What did they call it? The Brashival? The silent meditation he put himself in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I already forgot the name.
I had it pulled. Yeah, it's the Barish Val.
Barish Val, yeah, and Kelnaka had a band. Looks like what was Kelnaka male? Kelnaka was male Wookiee. Right?
Yeah, he was a male Jedi.
Male Jedi Wookiee, and he left the Order after that happened.
Yeah, he went into solitude.
Yeah, so the only one that seemed like they had stayed, close to the Order was Sol. Indara kind of went off and looked like she was a wandering Jedi type.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, what did y'all? We're getting kind of towards the end, so I kind of want to get your feel. What did you think about the ending of the last episode?
It definitely was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. I felt like that was going to be our, like maybe the next to the last episode or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to see what happens. But the more I'm going, the more I'm just like, I keep going. Yeah, Homeboy's the bad guy. Like he's the bad guy.
It's gotta be.
I will say that the thing is, I if that turns out to be the case, Headland's going to get a lot of like genuine criticism for that because it was so badly telegraphed that like it's so obvious. Like, what's your point? Like, why did you want to make it so obvious that it was him?
That's why I'm hoping they're throwing us off, and then it'll be like Carrie Ann Moss is the villain, and she's the Sith Lord.
But
I'm Plagueis.
Yeah, I do have genuine like. There was one thing that happened in the last episode that I genuinely like was a little about and it was how fast May changed her mind.
Oh yeah.
Like it felt like there wasn't any time to like really see at least from an actor viewpoint. Really didn't get to see any type of change in her. It's just like, we're going to kill this Jedi.
I was going to say it felt like for time.
It feels like it was like compressed, and it was something that needed to be. It probably something that needed an extra episode or so.
That's how I felt. I was like, oh, okay. It just feels like they're like, well, we've only got so many episodes, guys. Come on,
get it out
there.
I will say this last episode, you see a little chink in the armor with as far as the look, like it's starting to look a little TV show to me.
Yeah.
Some of that wilderness planet that they're in towards the end. When they're walking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this looks like a stage and some,
Yeah, and that was one little problem that I'm currently having a little bit with. Is it feels like they're struggling a little bit to make locations feel like real. A place.
Yeah,
and not in like I'd say Book of Boba Fett had some more lively looking locations, location shooting than I've seen in this. Like a lot of it does feel stilted. Like anytime I've seen something set in a town, it doesn't really feel like I'm seeing a town like with people living in it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels more like it's a set, and you see maybe one or two actors walk across in the background to like fill in space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just one of those kind of vibe things. I think you just kind of you kind of feel it and know before you notice it.
Yeah,
guys, put those booms down and go walk in the background.
But I'm liking the show.
Grab a drink.
I'm interested to see where it goes. Like it's a mystery show, so a lot of times people keep getting mad about story points. It's like mystery shows are going to be hard to like really judge until you get to
it's over.
Until it's over.
Then you can say like, wow, that was kind of poo poo.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to plot stuff, you can't, that's part of it.
Yep.
So,
I think there's just it's sad because the time that this show is coming out, I think it's is getting flack for some things that it probably wouldn't have gotten flack for coming out in a different age.
Yeah.
You know, and it wouldn't be viewed with this
disdain,
with this lens, you know, that it's being viewed at, and people are not judging it correctly because they have all these feelings that they're trying to about, and it's like, wait, let's let's let the whole thing play out before you get mad.
Yeah, and I'll say this for anybody that you know, I've seen people say the what is it, the oh yeah, they had one person writing on the show that's never watched Star Wars before, and I just thought that's not a bad thing. You know, that's what a writing group is for, is so that you can bounce new ideas. And having one person that hasn't seen Star Wars, that sounds like a great idea to get a completely fresh and objective perspective on it, walking new into the franchise, because they're going to be like a new kid, but with a lot of like literary training jumping into it. So yeah.
And that's probably where we need to end it right there.
There we go. That's
Joe
perfect.
Fann's
good luck with that.
Snake. Sorry about that.
Just another day in a toy life.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I guess that's all for this week.
Yep.
Next time we see Austin, he's probably gonna be he's probably gonna be nursing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna see the baby on my boobie.
I've got nipples, Greg.
Yeah, you want to milk me? All right, guys. Until next time.
All right. See y'all. Hey, I'll be at Joe Fest tomorrow and Saturday. Come see me. Walk up and talk to me.
You sure about that? You sure about that, Ashley?
Yeah, that'd be
sure you're gonna be there?
I will be there.
Okay.
I've got to take my car to Augusta to get fixed. I mean, not get fixed, but just for a oil change, and then I'm heading to the Marriott afterwards tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see if you keep your word.
Yeah, well, I see what you're doing. I wasn't even looking at you, but now I see what you're doing. You're doing that De Niro, okay?
Well, guys,
I got some Star Wars.
Means it's about to.
Somebody
Star Wars
out.
Yeah.
I can't
do. You tell me that you're my son, huh?
I can't do a Ben Stiller. I don't know.